The campaign began with a frantic race for baseline logistics. My forward scouts were mapping the immediate perimeter, securing our vital livestock and hunting grounds. But we were operating under a shadow. The enemy knew our coordinates, and I knew their doctrine. They are vultures who prefer to starve you out before the real fighting even begins. They wanted to steal our wild game and livestock to cripplingly delay our mobilization. Anticipating this, I ordered a radical shift in our schedule. "Harvest the frontline wild boar now!" I commanded. "Do not wait for standard protocol!" My lookout spotted him. The enemy commander's personal scout slipping through the fog of war. The laming attempt was underway. We dragged the massive beast under the safety of our garrison just as the thief lunged. My personal scout threw his body into the gap to shield the workers. He lunged forward, swinging wildly to strike down the intruder. But his blade missed by a hair, slicing only empty air. In the chaos, we uncovered 2 stray flocks of sheep. The enemy sliced the tethers of one flock and drove them off into the fog before we could recover. He got away clean, and the damage was done. I cannot describe the raw, suffocating fury that grips your chest in that moment. To be violated on your own soil, to watch your people's hard-won sustenance stolen away by a mocking saboteur, makes the blood boil. If I had succumbed to that rage for even a second, he would have taken the rest of our livestock. But anger without focus is a liability. This is where the OODA Loop saved us. The enemy observed my loss and oriented to the assumption that I would play a timid, defensive game to recover my lost rations. I chose to shatter his reality. What I did next was the weaponization of time itself. In military strategy, we call it the OODA Loop. Observe, orient, decide, act. It is a continuous cycle. The enemy had completed his action, and he expected me to reset back to the beginning to observe my damage. But in battle, the army that cycles through these stages the fastest wins. If you can force your foe to constantly react to your unexpected choices, their decision-making loop shatters. Their orientation collapses, panic sets in, and they defeat themselves. The ultimate defense is a ruthless offense. Instead of licking my wounds, I decided to take the fight directly to his front porch. I ordered what remained of my battered reconnaissance to push deep into uncharted hostile territory to locate his main camp. With minimal visibility, we hit pay dirt. Our scout bypassed his outer sentries and discovered his entire civilian labor force heavily exposed, extracting raw gold from a rich vein. The intelligence was clear. The enemy was massing gold. The logic dictated they were preparing a heavy archer division. Right then, my brave scout spotted the enemy sentry. Instead of retreating, he started riding hard, running circles around their lines to purposely distract them, taunting their scout and luring them into a wild goose chase far away from the mining camp. With their eyes locked onto my decoy, the path was wide open. I didn't waste a heartbeat on half measures. I ordered my workers to completely delete our own primary command center at home, severing our safety lines. I grabbed 10 of my fiercest men and women, slipped them past the distracted guard lines in the dead of night, and dropped our entire base right on top of his gold mine. The psychological shock was absolute. By choking out his gold, I completely paralyzed his ability to field his planned archer divisions. Our forward fortress began raining heavy ballista and arrow fire directly into the heart of his main headquarters. To freeze him in his tracks completely, my loyal ally coordinated a relentless raid, hitting this exact same enemy with champy scouts, keeping his remaining workers running in terror while leaving the other enemy completely untouched. An amateur commander would have dug in to celebrate the siege. But the secret to the OODA Loop is tempo. You must act so fast that the enemy is still trying to process your first move, or you are already executing your third.
Without giving them a second to breathe, I ordered my 10 pioneers to abandon the smoking ruins of the first base. We marched further down the valley to his coalition partner. Before the second enemy could even comprehend that his ally was falling, we erected another forward fortress right in his face, once again sealing off his gold supply and halting his military production before it could even begin. By this time, my ally had mobilized a standing army. The battlefield descended into absolute, unmitigated chaos.
Our fortresses hammered their infrastructure. The enemy, desperate and hysterical, ordered his civilian workforce to pick up tools and fight my pioneers hand to hand. My allies' army crashed into the melee. It was a total meat grinder. Many of my brave men and women died in that dirt. Dozens more were horribly wounded. Back at my original homeland, a desperate enemy counterattack was hitting my back door, setting fire to my old infrastructure. But none of it mattered. In war, numbers mean nothing if you lose the structural power to command them. The enemy had a larger population, but they had no command centers left to organize them or train replacements. I, however, was producing fresh reinforcements directly on their front lines. We completely eliminated their logistics, slaughtered their production, and wiped the First Empire off the map. When the dust settled, the arrogant commander, the very same thief who had sneaked into my borders to steal my livestock, looked out at the burning ash of his empire. His OODA Loop had been so thoroughly shattered that he couldn't even formulate a retreat. Realizing he was utterly bypassed, out-tempoed, and broken, he unconditionally surrendered. That is how you weaponize time. That is the power of the loop.